Welcome to this Yellow Farmhouse, a podcast by me, Dayna Dyer, a knitting designer and cozy living blogger from an 1834 farmhouse in Illinois. I'm a mom of 3 girls and a cinnamon roll enthusiast with a case of the cozies. This Yellow Farmhouse is for my fellow lovers of all things cozy and for those seeking a simpler, slow life. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the final episode of 2020, and I'm going to wrap up the year by kind of talking about my word of the year for 2021, looking ahead, and what I am looking forward to doing, and just how that's all going to play out. And so, yeah, this is the final post-Christmas, pre-New Year's, weird time of year that I feel like time sits still, and that is my favorite time of year besides right before Christmas, because everybody's just calm, and a lot of people are off of work and off of school, and it's just this relaxing time. The kids are happy because they have all this exciting stuff that happened from Christmas. They have new toys to play with, and their buckets are just full to the top because they just spent time with family. And Santa came, and yeah, so we're going to talk about the word of the year. If you guys have a word of the year, or do you do resolutions, we're going to cover all that today. So yeah, obviously 2020 was different. Lucy, our third baby, was a complete blessing, and she really just makes our family feel complete. And I'm really glad. A lot of people have kind of been shooting down 2020, and I get it because it was hard for a lot of people. It wasn't easy for us by any means, but we do have this bright spot that happened in 2020, and so I'm going to, I don't look back at 2020 as just this year that was terrible, because I can look back at 2020. I'm always going to remember what happened, and that's going to stand out to me, but I'm not going to look at it with just the utmost anger and disgust like some people do, because we do have 2020 to thank for our little Lucy Rose. So my word for 2021, well, first, okay, do you have a word, or do you do a resolution? I used to do a resolution for the year, and then I'm just not great at it. I don't think I'm disciplined enough, and I also, I don't know. I just like to move to the next thing. It seems like if it's not something I'm that's just really, really, I don't know, if it's really not meshing with me and my personality, I'm not great at sticking with it, I guess. So resolutions never worked for me. I don't do diets or anything like that, so I've never had a resolution that was that kind of thing. I've probably done ones that was more eat healthier or try to get more sleep and that kind of thing, and I do my best to do those kinds of resolutions and stick with them, but like I said, it's hit or miss. So in the last 2 years, I started for a while, I just didn't do anything. And I was resolutions, they don't work for me, whatever. But for the last 2 years, I have started doing a word, or a short phrase. So starting with 2019, my word, or I guess short phrase, was slow down. So going into 2019, I had kind of gotten more social with mom friends. I had gone 3 years of being a mom and kind of just tucking my head down, just doing our thing, going to the library, and none of my kids were in school yet, so we were pretty isolated, and I hadn't really found this mom group or anything like that yet. So at the end of 2018, I had started kind of putting myself out there more to find mom friends, and I didn't know how to say no to a lot of things. And what really happened was just, we catapulted into this mindset shift that I needed to be busy, and we honestly didn't know how to be at home. I've blogged about this. I think I've talked about it on the podcast even. where I was just uncomfortable being home, and I didn't feel like I knew what to do at home. I mean, I knew how to be at home by myself, but then I feel like I had this identity crisis, like new mom, baby who doesn't do anything, and then also now toddler who needs to run off some steam. I didn't know how to cope with that at home, and so we would just go out and we would be busy. And this is really interesting because I was a nanny for 5 years. So between end of high school, like summer nanny, and then out of college, I was actually a full-time nanny for a couple years. And we were home. Like, we were at their house a lot. We would go on adventures here and there, but like I was a nanny in their home. And so this kind of like came out of left field for me because I had done this, I could take care of kids and be at home, and you come up with things to do and you play toys, and then it's nap time and all that. But then once it was my kids, and like I felt like we were home and I couldn't get stuff done because I was being mom, and it just got, I guess, overwhelming. And so to handle that, we just wouldn't be home. We would pack up and we would go to the library one day. Actually, for a while we were going to the library 2 days a week. A lot of times we would just go to the park and like also pack our lunch, so we would literally be gone until it was nap time, because I didn't know how to like schedule our time and keep us busy and happy. And then I really made a point to slow down, learn how to be home, and not just be home and like put up with it, but like make a home, make our house a home. And so that was really my goal of 2019. And we did. And we ended up even house hunting, which we always knew we wanted to move out of our subdivision and out of our town a little bit closer to family. But we didn't really think that was on, I guess, the calendar for 2019. And so in that summer, we actually came across a few houses. We actually went and visited a bunch we didn't really love. And then we found a house in the country, a little bit more country, I guess, than we are now. And this was a fixer-upper. It was a lot to take on, but it really opened my eyes to, like, wow, if we physically move ourselves away from the busy, like, that's going to help me, and that's going to help all of us to slow down. And like, if we're not 5 minutes away from everything, we're going to kind of consider everything as it comes in and be like, is this like something we want to add to our calendar, or am I just doing this because it's convenient? And we can, the library is 5 minutes away, so let's just go there and be there for a long time. So we didn't end up really feeling comfortable with that house because of the amount of work it needed. So then we found this house, this yellow farmhouse that we're in, and I can't even explain the feeling that we had. I've also talked about this in the earlier podcasts too, but as much as like I should have been nervous about just moving to a new town, even though it was closer to family, it wasn't the same town as my family. It was a town I hadn't really had much experience in, even though it's only 2 towns over from where I grew up. And we were moving to the country. Like, that should have been kind of giving me anxiety. I can tend to be an anxious person, and I felt complete peace. Like, this is the right decision. This is what God wants us to do. And I had never experienced that aside from meeting my husband and something in me knowing that that was the person that, like, he is different from everybody else, and that's the person that I'm supposed to be with. That is the only other time that I've felt that, like, just a complete calm and just this voice saying, like, no, this is it. Like, don't worry. It's it. You got it. So, yeah. So we ended up moving into this yellow farmhouse, and really we did slow down. Okay, so moving on to 2020, which was a year for a lot of people. Like I said, it was there was this really good bright spot in the year because we had our little baby Lucy, who is almost not a baby anymore, and I can't believe that, but not even going to go there. That's just too much for me to think about right now. So 2020, we had slowed down, and I knew that we were going to be in for an interesting year because we were expecting Lucy in April. I didn't know anything about COVID and all that. Nobody really did. But yeah, I was just picturing 3 kids. We had kind of gotten into, the groove you get into. If you're a mom or now a grandma, you remember and like you get into a groove, and then everything changes once you have another kid and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like we're in a routine and everybody's good. They're getting more towards independence, and all that was going to be shook up. So my word for 2020 was breathe, because I knew I was going to need to have more patience and just be able to, I didn't want to get that same feeling I did after my first and second, which was like, instead of being calm about it and leaning into relationships for help, like I didn't want to just close up and hunker down again like I had with my first 2. And so I knew I was going to need to have patience and give our family a lot of grace, because we were going to, just like I said, be completely shaken up. And so, yeah, my word was breathe. Now, that's actually kind of funny to me now. COVID is not funny. I completely get that. But the fact that God put into my head, your word for 2020 should be breathe, is funny. It's funny to me because he knew what was going to happen with the year. He knew we were going to have to wear masks for most of the year. And I thought breathe was a funny word for me to pick because, like, I was about to have a baby. So obviously, if you're about to have a baby, you got to learn breathing. You have to learn some breathing techniques. And if you had babies, relearn it. So I was already kind of like, haha, this is funny. Breathe. I'm going to have a baby. It has other meanings that like relate to my life. But God was like, no, you don't even know. You don't even know how funny this is going to be, because you're going to be told all year long, you don't get to breathe. You don't get to breathe without a mask. So, yes, like I said, COVID, not funny. My word of the year being chosen for this year in particular, I think that's funny. And I think that was 100% just God has a sense of humor. And he was like, Dayna is going to crack up at this, because I look for little meanings like that a lot of times in things, and like little signs here and there, like, I don't know. And so looking now, I can laugh because it's, you know how sometimes you can look back and you can be like, this happened for a reason, and I completely see now that I'm out of it why I had to go through that and all that. Well, yes, I'm having that feeling where I can look back at this exact moment where I was like, yes, this is my word. And yeah, now it totally makes sense why that was my word. And yeah, so anyway, I am going to give you a look out my window right now. What I can see outside my window are hordes and hordes of geese. And so my random wildlife question today is, when do geese stop migrating? Like, did they miss the boat? Because I feel like most of the geese went in October. So here in Illinois, they started just, I would say going to town, but they started leaving town in October in swarms. And there are still hordes of geese. Like, are they a different kind of geese? Are they going somewhere else? Are they not afraid of the cold and they're just flying? I have a lot of questions about geese. And now I'm going to research that and really, really throw my Google search for a loop after last week's squirrel searches. And so, yeah, I really am just like, do all geese migrate the same way? I'm going to go research this and I'm going to tell you. Don't worry, I will answer all your goose questions that you never knew you had. Okay, what I'm seeing are Canadian geese, and yes, they usually start flying south in September and October. So that's why the swarms that I saw in the fall. But the ones I'm seeing now, apparently, are coming from the north. Like, I never even thought, duh, Canadian geese are coming from Canada. So they are actually, this is south for them. They flew south and they are just happy here. So now I know, now you know, that is what's outside my window. Did you make any goals for 2021? Even if it's not a resolution or a word of the year, like, what are your goals or your dreams? And it doesn't even have to be this year. It could just be like, what's on your heart right now, what you're thinking about. So we have this land at the bottom of our hill. I say our hill, but it's like 3 houses on our hill. And then there's this land that's, I think it's like 40 acres or something, for sale. And it's been for sale the whole time we've lived here. And it's nowhere on our radar of like what we could afford to buy. But I have this dream that one day we could buy it, because I have this like vision for that hill. So the thing is, it's for sale. We obviously would like to buy the land because we don't want something else built there, like a warehouse, more stores, a subdivision, a gas station. We don't want anything like that. I love looking down from our hill and seeing, so if you look down the hill, it's at the bottom of the hill, but then it also is its own hill, kind of going up the other way. So we see just, it's rolling hills. You can see deer. If you use binoculars from the top of our hill, we can look at deer. And then if we go to the bottom of our hill, you can actually like see the deer. Actually, probably about halfway down the hill, you can see the deer like all the time. And there's a cute little creek that goes through there. And so yeah, we would like it to stay nature-y. And it's currently, I guess, being farmed. I think whoever owns it is renting it out for people to come and farm it, but they're actually selling it. So I don't know what that's going to turn into, but okay, this is my dream. This is my vision, and it's not like a 2021 specific dream, but I feel like everything that I do this year, I want to do with this dream in mind. Even if someone comes and snatches up that land, I still gotta have this dream, you know? So this is the dream. I'm imagining rolling hills of pumpkin patches and a cute little shop that looks like it's old. Like there aren't any buildings on this property, unfortunately. But I want to build something that could be a really cute, cozy shop. It could have yarn and classes. It could be, and it's not just a yarn shop, it could also be part coffee shop and selling candles and just like a cozy boutique, I guess. So that would be the first thing. That would be the building. The pumpkin patch would just be like rolling hills, and it could go like, okay, here's what I'm imagining. You know those pumpkin patches that used to exist all over the place where you didn't have to go and pay like just to get in? Or a lot of pumpkin patches have turned into almost like fall amusement parks. Like there's bouncy houses and all that, and that's great. Like we've gone to those, that's great. But what I want to bring back and I want to bring to our community is this idea of like free family fun, and you only pay for what you're gonna buy. Like have a little farm stand, pay for the pumpkins, but like you can play on these little playgrounds for free and just like walk around for free. And I don't know, that's just my idea. I don't like overpaying. I don't like going to a pumpkin patch knowing that I have to pay $75 for my family to have fun for a day, because one, I have little kids and we're not going to last an entire day. We can maybe last like 2 or 3 hours, and with lots of snacks and a few meltdowns. So yeah, I don't know. I just want to bring back this small town pumpkin patch. And I love fall. It's my favorite time of year. And I actually don't mind being a little busier in the fall. Something about fall, like I kind of get this feeling of a new year, and I think it's because that's when like a school year would start. But yeah, and busier for me is still not busy for a lot of people, but like I wouldn't mind helping run this pumpkin patch for 1 month, because it would pretty much be October for an entire like pumpkin season. So yeah, that's my random little dream, and I feel like having that dream, even though it's like a really out there dream, it kind of helps me have a focus for my entire year. So when I'm thinking about this dream, I'm rethinking some of the things I might do. Do I really need to buy this blank? Or do I really need to focus my attention on this? Like, is that going to get us to this dream? And like I said, this is a dream, but it just helps me simplify my life and not just like flounder around and like, maybe I'll try this and maybe I'll do this and hopefully I'll end up here. But it just really helps me have a vision. And then also with this podcast, like it really, I don't know, it surrounds me in coziness, like thinking about that. And that's probably a really silly way to explain it, but it just gives me a little bit of a cozy feeling thinking about it. So that's my dream, and it's not 2021 specific, but I do have some 2021 specific goals. I have 3 of them. My first one is that I'm going to dig into my yarn stash. I'm going to declutter it. I'm going to organize it. I have some ideas for actually organizing my knitting needles and crochet hooks and all that I would like to do, because right now the top of my yarn hutch is like decorated and it's supposed to be pretty, but underneath in those cabinets, oh guys, it's bad. I have to like hold a hand out when I open the cabinets because things are starting to topple out. It's kind of just pushed in there. Plus, there are 3 giant storage bins under my bed of yarn. I shouldn't have this much yarn. It's not simplifying my life. Yarn makes me cozy and it makes me feel good, but having too much yarn that I can't see, like I like to see my yarn. I like going into a yarn store and you can see what you have. Knowing that I have bins of yarn under my bed that I don't even 100% know what's there, that makes me a little sad and it makes me a little anxious. And so that's one of my goals of this year, is that I'm going to go through it. Patterns, I'm going to go through and look through there first for any pattern inspiration, and then also patterns that other people's patterns that I'm going to do. Like I'm going to shop my stash. So yeah, that's goal number 1. I need to pare down the yarn, not because I don't love yarn and it doesn't make me cozy, but like I said, too much of it is not a good thing. Okay, my second goal is that I want to get back into running. Now, this isn't going to be, maybe I'll go do like a 5K, I don't know. But I kind of fell out of love with running after college. So I ran track and cross country in high school and college. And then I got injured and I quit the team, and I kind of just fell out of love with it because in college it was work. It was, I had a scholarship, so it was paying for me to be in school, and it felt like a job, and that took the fun out of it. So I've run here and there like a couple miles for like a month, a day, or not even a day, but like a few days a week I'd run a couple miles. Like I'd work up to 2 miles and then I'd fall off and I wouldn't be consistent with it. And my oldest daughter really loves running. Like she asks to go to the track all the time. We go and we meet my dad there because he's really into running too. And she'll run a lot. She's 4 years old and she has run 2 miles. She ran this past summer, she ran 1 mile for like a race where she ran it with my husband. I don't remember her time, but it was like 10 minutes or something like that. She loves to run. Like she will just run and run. And I want to support that. Like I'm not going to push it because me and my husband both were runners. I'm not going to push that anyone has to run. do what you want for an activity, but the fact that she loves it that much without either me or my husband really running right now, it means, like, I don't know, I want to support her. I want her to see that mom and dad also will do this fun thing with you that you like, even though we may not love running right now, and I would much rather be cozy on the couch. So yeah, getting back into running, not necessarily, like, I never had the desire to run a marathon or half marathon. I, at some points in college training, ran a half marathon just of like our long run training. We would run 13 miles as our longest run. So that, like, I don't have a desire to go out and do that. That's not fun for me. But maybe like a 5K, working myself up to that if it was, I don't know. I don't know when she would be ready for a 5K, but even having her cheering for me and then also my other kids seeing me do this, I think would be good, and also just showing good healthy habits and stuff. So digging into my yarn stash, getting back into running a little bit, not much. And then the last one is I don't need to, but I want to develop a new, what I like to call a granny skill, because I love learning these. Obviously I knit, and I'm really looking to better hone my homesteading skills, I guess, because we do live in a farmhouse. We do have a gigantic garden space that we're going to be expanding this year. We are having chickens joining us this summer. Well, I guess this spring and summer. And part of that is me just wanting to learn more and understand a little bit more of what happened a long time ago when this house was here. I mean, our house is like 1830s. So yeah, the skill that I want to learn in particular is canning. We have done canning in the past, but it was mostly my husband kind of leading the charge, and we only really stuck to some of the basics. So we've done like applesauce and salsa and pasta sauce, and then he's done some other random stuff that I didn't really have a hand in. He's also done a little bit with fermenting. Now I don't think I've ever tried eating something that was fermented, so I'm not 100% sure I would love that. I don't know, but my focus is that I want to learn how to do canning and like have it be something I can do when he's not there. I think I understand about, like, this past season, I did fill up some and I put the lid on and stuff. And I know you're not supposed to put the outer lid on after you put the seal on, because it can move it and, like, I guess mess with the integrity of how it is stored. So I know some of the basics, and we have a big canner where you do like the pressure canning and give it like a water bath. So I guess I just want to learn how to do that myself, and a few more recipes to kind of expand what we can have. I would love to really build up a stash of some of those basic things we use, like pasta sauce and salsa and applesauce, but also try some new things. So those are my goals for this year. What's giving me a case of the cozies right now is, this is really goofy, is some soap, some hand soap that my mom gave me. And it's because if you know me, you know I love cinnamon rolls. It is my favorite breakfast treat, and actually I could eat them any time of day, and sometimes I do. But my mom gave me this hand soap from Bath and Body Works, and she stocks up on hand soap. She's got a lot all the time, and lotion and stuff, so she'll go when they're having a sale and stuff. But what's giving me a case of the cozies is this iced cinnamon roll hand soap from Bath and Body Works. I've never seen it in the store, but I don't go into the store as much as she does, and I don't like check their website all the time. But it smells like the real deal, guys, and it's amazing. It's not the like scrubby kind, it's just a straight lotiony kind. It's not foamy or anything like that. And although they might have that kind too, but I love it because I do feel like we go through the foamy soap a little bit faster, I think, because my kids think it's like part bubbles and fun, and they do more than one pump. I'm trying to get them onto one pump. But this soap, I have it in our kitchen because that's not the sink that they usually use. So usually my favorite soaps I'll put in our kitchen, because the downstairs bathroom they use a lot, and the upstairs bathroom is basically their bathroom, because theirs are the only rooms up there, the girls are. And so yeah, that's what's giving me a case of the cozies. It makes me happy, and like I can smell cinnamon rolls any time of day, and then also my hands smell like it for a while afterwards, and there's nothing better than cinnamon rolls, honestly. Well, thank you guys for hanging out and knitting with me, keeping me company, and I hope that I kept you guys company. I do have one piece of homework for you. I know, homework's no fun, but I really encourage you to go through your yarn and start a tote. So I use those reusable tote bags, like the big ones you can get from, you can get them at like all the craft stores. They have them by the checkout, or even like TJ Maxx and Marshalls and stuff. So I will keep one of those totes, and I bring them, I start filling them, and then I'll transfer it, couldn't think of that word. I'll transfer it to a garbage bag that I'll then bring to donate to a donation center or whatever. But the reason I want you to start with a tote and put some yarn in there that you want to donate is because you can take this to other places too. So if you find yarn that you maybe don't love as much anymore, you don't have an idea for, or it was something you got on sale or for free, or when you first started knitting and you didn't find the good stuff yet, you can take it to your library. I have taken stashes of yarn that I knew I was done with, especially like really cheap acrylic yarn. Take it to your library, because the children's section, they love having yarn there. They use it for like their craft areas. They'll use it for, a lot of times libraries will do like a kit, or like a craft time. It's like a story time with a craft afterwards. So they love having this yarn because they'll use it and they'll love it. It will definitely be used and loved. The second thing is to ask your friends on Facebook or to look on Marketplace. It's up to you if you want to sell it or if you want to just give it away and kind of pass on the love. And then the other thing is to check Facebook groups. So some Facebook groups that you might not even really think of, you can obviously look at knitting Facebook groups if anyone wants this yarn. But look in some local ones. Look for local mom groups. Look for like topic specific groups. So I'm in a cozy Facebook group that's all over the entire world. And so you would have to, obviously, that's not super local. You would have to ship something. But like finding a local group or something that's around a certain topic that it just might be right up their alley, and you're giving it away, or you can sell it, whatever it's up to you. That way you're not just like, it's not just going to be on the shelf at Goodwill for anyone to find, which is fine too, but someone might, like, it could be, if you find like the perfect, niche group, like a cozy group or a mom group, like that could be what they never knew they were looking for. Because also mom groups, you might have a mom who would love to have some yarn to teach their kids how to knit or to use for crafts or something like that. So that is my homework for you, is to go through your yarn, start a tote of donatable yarn, list some ideas for your projects that you do want to use the yarn you're keeping for, rotate out your yarn. So a lot of times it kind of just is a fresh perspective to rotate out your yarns that you can see. Like I said, I have bins under my bed and a lot stuffed under my yarn hutch, and I plan to rotate it out as I'm actually going through it. And then list where you would want to give away the yarn, and it might be different based on the yarn. If it's really cheap acrylic stuff, you could bring it to the library, and if it's a little more expensive stuff, you could look into selling your stash. So that is it for me. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm glad that we were able to have this time together. And I do want to give kind of a tease on what's coming next week, and all through January actually, is that I'm starting a series called Homebody Winter, which I'm really excited for. obviously we're all staying home, but this is also for when you already like being home. And even if you don't like being home, it's going to be some cool, different ideas for being a homebody in wintertime. So if you're watching on YouTube, please like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast playing app, please leave a review. This means a lot to me. It helps me to know what you guys like and don't like, what you guys are connecting with and not. And then it also helps my videos and my podcast to be seen by other people like you who just want to have someone to knit with and someone to chat with while we are at home. So thank you guys very much, and have a very, very, very happy and cozy new year. I'll see you in 2021.